Hi, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And today I'm reviewing King of 12, a game by Lucky Duck Games. And this is one that I'm pretty sure is supposed to be a trick-taking strategy game, and yet we're really enjoying it, but we're really enjoying it far more as a party game. Have you ever heard of YFUM? YFUM, I said. Have you ever heard of YFUM? YFUM is going to be the concept of wine in front of me. It's a term used from Princess Bride, the Princess Bride movie, if you've ever watched that. The wine in front of me is the concept that you have this person who is basically trying to trick someone to taking a glass full of poison. And so he said, here's the glasses. Here's one glass. Here's one glass. Go ahead and choose the glass with the poison. And the person says, well, obviously you put the poison in front of me because you know that I know it wouldn't be in front of you. But then you know that I know that you would do that. So you would put the wine in front of you, knowing that I would switch the wine in front of me. But then a smart person would really know that I know that I know, and onwards and so forth. And it's a general term used for when you get into this logical back and forth of, well, you're going to do X, so I'll do Y, but you'll know I'll do X, so I'll do X instead, and you'll do Y, and you just get back and forth going, just trying to figure things out, otherwise known as YFUM. And I really like that in King of 12, because it has a lot of YFUM, and it's immensely entertaining. You see, King of 12, let's talk about how you play the game, it's a useful part of any review. King of 12 is going to involve players. In my case, I prefer 4 players, we'll talk about that more, rolling their dice and putting their dice down. So we get rolled a 10 over there, we have another 10, and we have a 3, okay? Now, they're all trying to compete every round. They're going to play a single card from their hand, and they're all trying to compete to get the highest number in terms of this round. And so that's great, right? Now we have 2 10s in the running and 2 3s. Oh, this is going to be an interesting round. This is already going to be an interesting round. You see, it's an interesting round because you want to be the highest, but any time ever in King of 12 where there is a tie, you automatically just eliminate those tied players. So right now the 2 10s are out, as are the 2 3s. No one's winning this round, which is going to be interesting. So I'll go ahead and I'll pick a card that I think is the right thing for me. Now I'm going to pick this one. Now here's the part where we get a little tricky, because I'm going to go ahead and just pick randomly for the other players just so we can get a feel for how the game plays out. But the game is far more entertaining when you actually have people choosing intentionally. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and pick randomly and see how entertaining a random round can be. So we have all these cards over here, and now we're going to reveal them. That was a 3. That was definitely a 3. So let's go ahead and reveal the cards. We have those. The only one that was picked with that, there is no way that is okay. Okay, that was randomly. You all saw that. So basically, every player is going to have a hand of 7 cards. 7 cards that are all duplicates. Well, I mean, they're all different, but every player has the same 7 cards. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and pick a card and execute the effect on the card. But anytime there are cards that are duplicates, like I said already, all ties in this game are ignored, which means these cards are gone. You don't do their ability at all, you ignore them. And instead, the only ability I'm going to enact is the Golem. The Golem says your die value becomes 12. Now, it doesn't turn to a 12, it becomes 12, which means my 3 is now currently a 12, which means the 12 beats the 10, beats the 10, beats the 3. I'm going to go ahead and take 2 points. These 2 10s are not going to get second place because they're automatically out, which means the 1 point is going to go to the 3, and that is the first round. Let's go on to the next round. So, you're going to continue to do this until you run out of cards. In this case, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to choose this card, okay? And again, we're going to do this completely randomly, he says. This just completely randomly. We're going to throw down some cards over here, and we'll just do one more round before we get into the rest of the review part. So we got that, and let's go ahead and just take one off the top. There's no way. We have the Gambler, we have the Oracle, we have the Troublemaker, and we have the Knight, okay? These are the 4 cards we have in play this time. The Oracle is roll your die. That happens last. The Troublemaker is all players rotate their die to the opposite side. So we're going to go ahead and rotate all dice to the opposite side. Not what I intended, unfortunately. So now we have 2 10s and 2 3s over here. The Gambler is this turn, the winner is instead the runner-up. So we've resolved the Troublemaker, we can move that. The Knight is this turn, the lowest die becomes the winner. Okay, the Knight says the lowest die becomes the winner. So right now these are winning, but right now nobody's winning. And instead we have the Gambler. This turn the winner is instead the runner-up, and the runner-up is the winner, which is fine, but we need to go ahead and roll the die from the Oracle, which means we now have an 11. The lowest die currently wins, which would be the 3s, but the 3s are eliminated because there's 2 of them. So now the lowest die is now the 10, which means I should win with my 10 versus the 11, but instead the Gambler makes the 11 win in the end, and I win instead for the second place. Did you follow that? Because that was a little crazy. But that's basically what happened. A whole bunch of things happen all at the same time. Abilities played out, abilities cancel, other dice cancel, and you end up with a winner and a loser every single time. But who that winner and that loser is not always clear. You don't actually change your dice, by the way, unless you play things, any cards that have this effect, like the Troublemaker over here. The Troublemaker set does define anything that has that effect, shows that you actually change the die, as opposed to temporarily changing the die like my Golem. My Golem said my value becomes 12, but it doesn't actually change the actual die for the next round. You're going to do that until you go through all your cards, and whoever has the most shards, the most points, is going to win that round. That player is going to remove a card from their hand, tuck it under their die. They're going to choose one card to remove. They don't have that card anymore, and all future rounds are only going to be played to one fewer card instead. Once a player has won 2 rounds, they win the game, and that is effectively King of 12. It's a little crazy. Genuinely a party game. You see, I love the Y-Farm in this game. Now, you didn't get to see it here as much because I'm playing against random people shuffling their cards and choosing random cards. Still immensely entertaining for me, honestly, but not quite the real game. The real game here is when you're looking at the board and you're like, well, I have a 3, we have an 11, a 9, and a 5 in play. Obviously, the right thing for me to do is to play my knight, right? Because the knight will mean that the lowest card wins. But they know that I'll play my knight, and so they're going to change things up. If they know that I'm playing my white, let me look what other cards they might be playing to mix things up. Ooh, they know I'll play my knight, so maybe someone else is going to play their knight to cancel my knight. So I should probably just do something completely otherwise, knowing that they're trying to cancel my knight by matching my knight. So therefore, if I do play my knight, we won't get the knight. If I don't play my knight, we will get the knight. Do you follow that? I hope so, because it's kind of confusing. Alternatively, maybe they're going to go ahead and do the Troublemakers to counter my knight. I don't know what they're going to do, and 3 other players at the table. You think Y-Farm is confusing with one person. Y-Farm is immensely confusing and somewhat entertaining when you have 4 people at the table, all trying to read what the other person is going to do, because there's always a solution for how someone can win. Every single time with your hand of cards, there's a way you can win, no matter what the dice are or are not. But that way you can win always depends on what the other players do. Hence the whole Y-Farm, hence the aspect of trying to read into other players' moves, their motivations, how they're going to try to stop you or not, and then the resulting hilarity that ensues. Like I said already, I do not consider this a strategy game. It's a trick-taking game with decisions that all cater towards giving you a win. But the actual trust that those decisions will play out in any way remotely resembling what you wanted is just not something that's going to happen. Thus the hilarity of trying to see how a round plays out, hoping that your wise choices will help you win, but across the average it's going to be far more chaos than it is strategy. And there are variable cards in the game. That knight who makes you the lowest card win, that card's always in play. But past that, there are a wide selection of cards, so you don't actually have the same mashup every single time. You're going to have a totally different hand every single time you play this game, a totally different configuration of which characters work together or perhaps don't work together, which characters allow you to do things or stop others from doing things, which characters get in the way in this game. And the game is short. It teaches in 3 minutes, well, maybe a little more than 3 minutes, it teaches in 5 minutes, plays in around 10 to 15 minutes, and you can get in multiple rounds again and again. It is an excellent filler game as long as you are okay with the fact that this is very much a chaotic experience where winning is half strategy, half playing your opponents, and also half complete and total luck. As far as things I didn't like, overall there's just really one thing, which is when I thought this game was about strategy, my first few plays of King of 12, I thought it was okay and was not overly interested in it. I played a few games and I was like, it's okay, it's fun, but I don't feel the need to keep this game. But as my focus on it changed, that is when I have grown to tremendously appreciate the fun that King of 12 brings to the table, the hilarity of seeing things go wrong. In its current form, the only thing I don't really like is winning feels a little random. Who wins feels random. That's okay, because when I play party games, I'm not in it to win. When I play Codenames, Monikers, or any other party game in my collection, Dixit, who knows whatever, I don't play them to win, I play them to have fun. And King of 12, while I was playing it to win, was a game that was okay for me. When I transitioned to playing King of 12 to have fun and to see the chaos that assumes as we try to correctly or incorrectly read each other's Y-Farm and figure things out, that is when this game grew for me. As far as what I can see others not liking about this game, to begin with, that winning thing is a big deal. If you are looking for a game that you need to be able to win, if you're looking for a game where you feel your choices, your strategy will play into you being able to win consistently, I do not think this is a game for you. There is chaos, there is fun, there are a lot of things happening in this game that are enjoyable, but the strategic choice tied to winning is less frequent. So if you feel like you need to win, or you feel like you need to have an agency in that winning, it may not be for you. The playtime is great, I covered already, but the strategy, all that aspect of winning is just loosely tied together. As far as final thoughts for King of 12, overall this one is a 3 out of 5 for me. I debated making it higher for me, but overall, the playtime, the reward, the fun, all of that stuff is immensely enjoyable, but still one that I'm not rushing to pull this one off my shelf when it's time to pull out a game. It does fit into a very specific spot. when I know that we're going to have 4 players at the table, and specifically 4, I'll get to the player count in a second, when I know that we're going to have 4 players who need a light filler game, I do grab King of 12. But past that, I don't pull this off the shelf a lot, hence the 3 to 5. 3 to 5 is a good game. No complaints, no real issues. Overall, a solid game, but not one that is, well, higher in my rankings. As far as the player count aspect, the player count aspect is this can be played at 2, 3, or 4 players. There may be a solo mode, is there? There's 2, 3, or 4 players, no solo mode. 2, 3, or 4 players. At 2 players, it has a little bit more of the Wi-Fi. It's going to end up being a little bit more strategic, but the actual agency aspect still feels a bit like just trying to guess or double guess your opponent's take. So it will lean more towards strategy, but not so much to the point that I would pick this over another strategic game. Similarly, at 3 you start losing that strategy a little bit more. The chaos starts ensuing. It still starts becoming a party game, which as long as I want the party game experience, which I do, then I'm enjoying it far more. But really, at 4 players is where this one shines for me. At 4 players, it's full-blown chaos, full-blown just trying to see what's going to happen, laughing as people do other things that get in each other's way. I didn't even talk about this. You get to the end of the round, if I have 5 chips and you have 5 chips and someone else has 4 chips, same thing happens there. We're eliminated. And they win the round because all ties in this game are as if they did not exist at all. And so that's another aspect. There's so many ways that you can have these things play out. It kind of reminds me of a combination of Las Vegas combined with like Love Letter or Brave Rats, combining those 2 aspects together in a singular game that is as immensely entertaining at what it does. And that's basically my review of King of 12. A solid game. Not entirely sure this is the end result they were looking for. I genuinely don't know. One that I'm enjoying, but I don't think I'm enjoying it the way it was meant to be played. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.